Hey all, Taves here, back playing some more Planet Zoo. So, this is something I guess most people on the channel that watch me play Planet Zoo probably haven't seen. This is the first thing that I built in the game. So when I was very new to the Planet kind of community, not played Planet Coaster, this is my first kind of experience of Planet games at all and building in it. And I built this franchise zoo pretty early on. I think I started this when it was still in early access, or when it was still in the closed beta, was it, or closed alpha? So we thought we'd come back to this. We've been doing a little bit of this on stream. Most of the footage that you're seeing here is all recorded from various different Twitch streams that I've been doing. I've been doing this for a few weeks behind the scenes, kind of running in parallel to some other stuff that's been going on. Obviously Missoula's going on, and the one-off habitats will carry on happening as well. But I thought I'd share this with you guys because I haven't. It's sort of opened my eyes to a few things. Sometimes it's sort of, you get a few comments. We've had a few comments, obviously very nice comments and stuff on the Missoula stuff, and I've had some nice comments on various other things that I've done, which is always really lovely. And sometimes you get kind of, how do you come up with these ideas, and how do you kind of get to like this level of creativity, which I always find a bit, it's not really true. I don't really take it. I take it all with a bit of a, I don't feel like I'm that good at the game. I feel like I'm all right at the game. But what's quite nice is coming back to this zoo and looking and kind of trying to do a bit of a reboot of it. And this was all right, but there's loads of things that I'm wanting to improve. So this zoo, as I said, has got bits that I really like, and bits that I think are just a bit silly and a bit janky and a bit weird. And it was a bit of a kind of, just a kind of experiment. As I said, I'd never played the Planet games before, so it was a bit of a kind of learning curve just to see what I could do. So we thought we'd kind of just go back and reboot this series and upgrade it. So there's going to be, as I said, most of this will be recorded from Twitch footage. So this will be stuff that I'm streaming on Twitch probably every week or every couple of weeks. And then it'll end up in a video. So what we're doing in this first instance, this is an area I'll give you a bit of a tour around for that. Again, for those of you who haven't seen it before, I'll give you a bit of a tour around as to where we left this zoo originally, where it's at now. So what we're first doing is kind of fixing this area just inside the entrance. This little plaza area inside the entrance was just got a tortoise habitat. So what we're working on first of all is this tortoise habitat. There's a really cool there's a wetlands area that I really like, which is all kind of sort of hippos and crocodiles and that sort of thing. But what we had was a really kind of silly staircase to get to it. It's still pretty silly, and there's lots of things that I haven't kind of considered. I haven't considered kind of disabled access, and I've kind of squished everything together really in this zoo, and some things we won't be able to fix. So I think kind of just generally fixing like disabled access might be a bit tricky for some of the areas. You'll see kind of as we do the little tour. But yeah, just kind of nice to go back and sort of look at it and with fresh eyes, and to sort of try and upgrade it, if you like, from what we originally had. So lots of nice little details and stuff go into this. This original plaza had some, again, nice little features, but again, never really kind of felt like it had enough. And I never finished it. Obviously, I got to a point where I kind of just ran out of steam. What I might do with this, and I think it's going to be a pretty big undertaking, is to see if I can move it into Sandbox. Now obviously you can't just save the game as a Sandbox zoo. You'd have to kind of move all the blueprints and stuff, so I'd have to kind of blueprint the whole thing and move it over, which would be a pretty massive effort, but maybe we'll do that, because I think one of the problems is not being able to control the weather and all that sort of thing for making content. But then I don't know, maybe I'll keep it as franchise. Still sort of feel like I'm losing out a big bit of the game by not having franchise, but we shall see. Anyway, so I better talk about what I'm doing. So yeah, we had this big kind of concrete wall And what I quite liked actually was kind of thinking the concrete wall I want to keep, because it feels like potentially the concrete wall is something that would be there, or breeze block wall, but how do we make it kind of more interesting, and how do we kind of dress it? So I'm making this kind of living wall planter thing, all as kind of a facade that sits on top of that breeze block, which I sort of feel like I'm sort of not gonna stress realism too much in this zoo, because I think it's already kind of too far down the line. This is going to always be my I don't know, I think this is always going to be fairly kind of playful and silly, and it's got some things that you'll see when we do the tour that I just can't really undo, and you'd never see in a real zoo, but I think I want to keep them. So here we are making a little kind of shelter for the tortoises. We've got a couple of little tortoise habitats right at the front here. We've got Aldabras and we've got Galapagoses, and we're actually working on the Aldabras here, which are the smaller of the two habitats. Yeah, so I thought I'd just do this kind of little natural looking thing. I quite like the way this habitat turns out. I think this shelter is actually slightly too small for them, but you know, looking at the size of the tortoise and looking at the space they've got as a shelter there, doesn't feel like it's actually really that small. But so yeah, a bit of rock work. I've basically replaced everything inside this habitat, took it all out. I've repurposed it again. What I thought looked all right at the time. I kind of just wanted to add a bit more texture, a bit more detail. I think that's mostly what I'm doing really, is adding more detail. There's bits of this zoo, interestingly, is I kind of, and again we'll see this when we do the little tour, bits of this zoo where you can see that I've got better at the game, and it's kind of, a lot better detail and a lot more interesting, and then there are bits of it that are just like, oh, this is hideous. And so there's definitely bits that I'm just going to completely rip out and redo. But yeah, bits of it I really like. So this is starting to look nicer already. Like, it's amazing, just those little bits of details, little bits of texture. The guest viewing area is just a bit nicer now. The actual pathing is quite a little bit nicer now. Just these little bits of details. That's actually a thatch piece sort of buried under the ground there. Little bits of rubble. So that's pretty much the end of the tour. The end of the speed build, guys. So we'll be back in a second, as usual, for the tour. We'll have a chat about what we're changing. Okay, so I think this turned out right. So here's our kind of little living wall thing. Habitat's pretty basic, but much better than it was. Definitely, that's kind of the aim of the game, really. A couple of little like education things, super simple. And this is the new walkway. So we've changed a little bit of this. This path's all different. As I said, I'll do a little bit of a tour round. We'll just go kind of down here. So yeah, all these little bits and pieces make a difference, I think. Just adding these kind of little bits of foliage in, and some more interesting barrier options. So this one I still need to kind of do a bit of work to, but so here's the actual plaza. Let's just kind of go back to the entrance. So I have done a little bit of changes to this. I have added some more planters and trees in and that sort of thing. So as I said, let's do a little bit of a tour round, and we'll kind of talk through things that have got to change. So I think like structurally this is all right. This is kind of like a little raised information area, little kind of viewing down into the backstage. Again, very low detail in there. They generally don't seem to come up here. There is actually path under here. You can see it just sort of showing through there. But guests don't tend to come up here, so we'll find some tricks to try and drag them up there. We've obviously got the vending machines now. This information centre is open, and I think this stairway is a normal path stairway. And then this was actually one of the very first things I built, and doesn't actually look too bad from textured cam. From down here at peep level, it doesn't look too bad, but I think it's probably got to change. Obviously, we've got no actual kind of entrance building. This is just the standard out of the box, so that might change. I'm not sure. And then we've got the plaza. I've done some nice little kind of little things to kind of dress the plaza up a bit, make it a bit more interesting. And I actually don't mind it too much now. But we've got this kind of real odd mix mash of styles, and again, this is part of the fact that I was just kind of experimenting and learning the game, really. So we've got this weird animal hospital style sitting right next to this like super old building, which is like a massive food hall, but super basic. It's got no real seating or anything. And again, I think the problem I've got with this is slightly that you wouldn't come into a zoo and immediately go and get a load of food and this be the one place where like all the food is. So this building might get recycled. I don't like the entrance very much. I don't actually mind a lot of the rest of the building, although I'm not sure now with the eyes of kind of having learnt the game a bit more. And then there's this like big plaza down here. This is all very incomplete. I started this plaza, didn't finish it, so this all needs work. But I think this could work if it was just dressed up a bit. And then we've got the river over there, and everything kind of from in front of that isn't complete. So if we go this way, we'll go kind of this way first. Take a look at the Reptile House. Generally not too bad. I actually don't mind this Reptile House too much. Kind of functional. It's got some nice little details coming through. So a lot of this I think is going to stay. Maybe it just needs a little bit more love. It has got some details and stuff, but the ceiling's a bit of a mess. But yeah, I think the main kind of structure of it and the position of it and the shape of it will probably stay. As we get back here, this is actually kind of one of the later things that I added. This whole area. So generally, I quite like this. I'm not sure about this station. Quite highly detailed, but I'm not sure whether I'll keep it. It's a bit grand. The concept was supposed to be that this original building was here. This building and this building are like original, and then a zoo has kind of been created around it. I don't really know. So let's go. We'll go this way. We'll have a peek at these guys. I think this will probably stay. Again, maybe just some little tweaks. We have got some cool kind of backstage bits. Again, all of this as I started to add more to it. This all down here we'll get to in a minute. But yeah, some nice details. As I started to get more experience, this is all stuff that I'm pretty much all right with. We did add this kind of little. Started this little room, which was supposed to be like a little backstage room with some. I don't finish the ceiling in here, but yeah. So lots to do. This little kind of arena, kind of show and tell, meet the animals thing. Quite a nice concept, and I don't think it was too badly executed. Let's go through this little tunnel, and then we'll go down here. This little set of stairs, I'm pretty sure will stay completely. This whole section, however sort of ludicrous and silly it is, supposed to be like a massive sinkhole, and I built this huge, great big ape habitat. Ape and what is it? Gorillas and chimpanzees, I think. And this will be a real pain if I do what I said I was going to do and move this whole area into Sandbox Zoo. This will be a pain because the path in here is obviously quite tricky. Excuse me, people. So yeah, we get all kind of down here. We have got a way. I think we've got a way into the backstage. Maybe I've already missed it. Can we just jump off there? We can't because we're in Tedget Cam. But yeah, again, it's a bit kind of fantasy. Oh, this is obviously all. None of this is done. Oh, there should be a path there. There is. And I think this backstage of the monkeys is all right. I did this kind of little monkey intelligence test thing, like a research centre. So yeah, pretty happy with that. Generally, I think that will probably stay. I don't know why I cut that path. There's a path missing there that's supposed to go up to where that toilet block was. No door on the back of that. So yeah, this is, as I said, is kind of, you'd never see this in a zoo. Obviously, it's like pretty nuts. Even if this was here as an actual feature, you'd never actually have this suddenly get made into a zoo. It'd just be silly. Then we have the mandrills, which is all kind of hidden behind this fence until you go up into this little tree house. Then you get to see the mandrills. So you kind of have to view from this little tree house. Oh, it's a bit squishy in there, which is all right. I don't mind it. Maybe this needs a little bit of love. Again, I've used the actual building pieces. Maybe weren't the right pieces to use there. Again, all incomplete stuff. And then we get over towards the wetlands. So this is actually the riverbank. And we get over. And you can come at this from a couple of different directions. This I'm all pretty happy with. Again, it's all very silly. Like the fact that you can be underneath the hippos like this, under a big glass and steel platform. It's pretty cool. Like from a guest interactivity level, this would be pretty cool. But yeah, I think a lot of this, I like a lot of this area, so I think probably a lot of this will stay. I do need to suss out what I was saying about accessibility options. So it's not too bad because this is a ramp. Maybe I can make that ramp a bit better. And then this area I generally like as well. Backstage kind of the hippo house. So the hippo house is actually really huge. Again, this is supposed to be one of the original buildings, and then we're actually into the hippo habitat here. So yeah, it's a little bit of a fly out then. So we'll kind of come out of Tejikam and fly over. Yeah, and then this is all the other way. So what we've been working on here is this transition, because it used to be just a straight staircase, went straight up from this point, diagonally up and over the top of this habitat. So I kind of swung it round, which feels a little bit softer. Obviously there's no kind of terrible staircase here, although no accessibility option in there. And then you come up to this raised platform. Obviously this needs all to be fixed up, sorted out. So yeah, as I said, lots of things I like, and then lots of things that I now just kind of look at and go, Arr. But there's a lot of work, and it's a shame to kind of just abandon this, I think, because I think there is something salvageable. And even if it is, as I said, even if it is just kind of in order to remind myself that I have got better at the game. Is that poo? I thought it was poo on the roof there. So yeah, stay tuned for this, guys. I'm not sure how many of these will be. Maybe there'll be a video kind of once a month on this, but as I said, most of the changes will happen on Twitch, and we'll kind of update on YouTube as we come to sort of significant milestones and stuff. All right, guys. So thank you very much for watching. Hopefully, Mizuda will be back. I think we're aiming for next week or the week after. And yeah, catch you guys on the next one. Take it easy.